Okay. So let's start and we'll do some quick introductions. I am Dr. Tro Kalajian. Um, I am a board certified obesity medicine and internal medicine doctor. I'm a doctor. And with me is Amy Igus, our program director. And we are here because we were asked by TAG to help bring health to TAG, help bring metabolic health and disease reversal to TAG. And I want to talk about what that means. And I think probably I can best do that by telling a little bit about my own story. And maybe I'll fast forward a little bit because I think a picture tells a lot more than my words. So I don't know if you can see this here, but over here on the top left, you know what? Let's get an even better picture. I'll come back. I'm on the top right over there. That was me. I was a 350-pound doctor. Okay. I trained in the Yale system in internal medicine. And I taught I taught residents, I taught medical students, I taught other doctors, I trained them, and yet I was 350 pounds and I was miserable. I had high blood pressure, I had pre-diabetes, sleep apnea. Raise your hands if you have any of those. You don't have to, okay? And I was on my way, and I was miserable. I was in such pain and I didn't know it. And I'm going to tell a little bit about Amy's story. Amy, who you see here with me, she was over 400 pounds and she lost 220 pounds. And I had struggled with weight my whole life. Raise your hands if you struggled, or type in the chat, I guess, if you struggle with weight. I had struggled with weight my whole life, and it wasn't the fact and all the information I got from medical school, it unfortunately didn't help me. It didn't help me. And so when my wife looked at me and said, Tro, are you going to make it? Are you going to be alive to see our kids grow old? I really became inspired to figure this out. And so I did what any doctor would do. I went to the books. Okay. And I went to the books, and what I found out was we were sold a bunch of mistruths. Who remembers that food pyramid? Who remembers, remember the food pyramid? Yeah, we got some people back there. Remember the food pyramid. And on the bottom of that food pyramid is a bunch of bread, rice, grains, right? And what I found when I went to the medical literature was those are the exact foods that make people gain weight. And so I was shocked. And that started my journey, going from a 350-pound sick doctor whose wife challenged him and said, hey, are you going to make it? And I went to the literature, and I went to the medical books and the science books and all the papers from medical school. I dusted them off out of the attic, and I reread everything. And what I found was what we were told was not exactly true. Those whole grains, those 6 small meals we were told, all of it was, they were lies. They were lies. And you all know it's a lie, because what's happened over the last 5 decades, 50 years? Have we gotten more overweight, or have we gotten less overweight? Right? Everybody's gained weight. So after I lost my weight, and this is about 10 years ago, I said, enough is enough. I have to help people get healthy. And I started this medical practice, telemedicine medical practice, about 7 years ago. And that's what I'm here to talk to you about. So I'm going to go back here. So who we are, we're a medical practice, 3 doctors, 4 coaches, 1 personal trainer. And my life's mission is literally to end obesity and diabetes. Okay, sounds radical, but that is all I do 24/7, all across the United States. I help people get healthy. And we want to do it in a way where people are empowered, right? People are empowered. They're not just told, go count your calories, not just told, go eat 6 small meals and, have some bread, rice, and chips in moderation, right? We want to do better. So, yeah, we have a team. We have a team, and every single person on our team has lived it. And I talked about myself and Amy, one of our other lead health coaches, Brian. He's lost 100 pounds and kept it off 15 years, right? I'm not going to go into more of my story, but this is our team. People who have felt what it's like to be wildly overweight and reclaim our health. And now we get the awesome job of helping people reclaim their health every day. And I think, again, pictures tell a better story. This is me and my wife right here on the left. And you can see here, I was 350 pounds. My wife never really had a major weight issue. And she lost 20 pounds. And I lost 150. Right? So everybody responds differently to changing your lifestyle. Right? She didn't have a major food issue. I did. Right? And at that point, I had never cooked a steak in my entire life. Right? I had done what I was told. I ate a bunch of heart-healthy whole grains, heart-healthy canola oil, like they told me to. I ate, 6 meals a day, and I just kept gaining more and more weight. So it was 9 years ago when I cooked my first steak, and I haven't looked back since. And let me tell you the problem, right? The problem right now in nutrition is, why should you believe me? Okay, fine. Take has said, so gracious, come here, Tro, talk to our employees, tell them how to get healthy. Why should any of you believe me? I mean, after the last 3-4 years, I don't know if anybody's left to trust us doctors anymore. And if you look at the news, it's not really clear, right? They say, a low carb diet is going to hurt you, and they say, you should have more plants. Who's heard that a Mediterranean diet is the healthiest diet, right? Or who's heard that you should go plant-based? Has anybody heard that? Right? Maybe not. Write in the chat, guys. Please write in the chat, because it helps keep me going. Right? So why should you trust me? If CNN says, you need to eat more heart-healthy whole grains and beans to get healthy, and you have these doctors who I've, interact with, on a regular basis, who say, eat more plants to get healthy. So why should you trust me? Why should you trust me? And you don't know what to do, right? How many times has the news flip-flopped? Who's heard that meat is unhealthy? Red meat is unhealthy? Who's heard that?
My whole life.
Your whole life. Tom said his whole life. I see the group from Phoenixville. Anybody ever heard that meat is unhealthy? Right? Maybe not, right? Okay. And, the problem is in nutrition, we flip-flop a lot. The doctors flip-flop. Here's a recent study showing that in 4 million people that actually we got it wrong, right? How many times have you seen that? Actually, we got it wrong. And, really is they don't have a clue. The doctors and the scientists, they don't have much of a clue, and they go back and forth. How many times have you heard eggs are healthy? Then 2 weeks later, eggs are not healthy. Then they're healthy again, and why is it that we have so many problems? What is it about nutrition that doctors seem to flip-flop a lot? And the reality is when I was a doctor and I trained them, we have, on average, as doctors, literally 12 hours of training, right? So we can't even help you be healthy because we have 12 hours of nutrition training. And what do they teach us? They teach us about drugs. Raise your hands if you been to a doctor's office in this past year and they talked to you for 5 minutes and gave you 1 or 2 medication prescriptions? Raise your hands. Yeah. So the problem is us. It's not you guys. It's us. And when you go to the doctors and say, well, what have you been told about nutrition? They say, well, what the USDA tells us. It used to be the food pyramid, now it's this. Right? They say eat more fruits, more grains, low fat, lean meat. Don't forget to eat less and move more. Who's heard that? And the problem is Americans have actually done that. They've done that. I remember, being early on in the pandemic, I saw everybody put on masks. People want to do what their doctors think is right. In trillions of masks sold, people did it. Not everybody, but most people did. And most people, just in the same way, they followed the guidelines. Maybe I should eat more plants. Maybe I should have more grains. Maybe I should eat more small meals. Right? So either the advice is wrong or we're giving people advice that they can't do. So which one is it? I'm going to tell you that I think the advice is wrong. And this is the problem. If you look at it, it's not just your problem or our problem. Okay? It's the whole country. You could see obesity is spreading. It's like a virus. And you could see Pennsylvania, where you guys are, it's just getting worse and worse. It's near West Virginia, which is the worst. Right? It just keeps getting worse and worse. It's a massive problem. And it's your families. Right? It's your brothers, your sisters, your kids, your parents. Right? And it's a huge problem. And this is the ignored pandemic. Right? People gaining weight, people getting diabetes. And if you look at these maps, right, the CDC maps, and if you look at obesity and line it up with other things, like here's a map of diabetes, they line up exactly. And if you look at other things like arthritis, my joints hurt, it lines up the same, it's the same map. It's the same map. And if you look at other things like cancer or stress or sleep or mental health or heart disease, it's the same map. So what's going on here? Can we figure out why all of us are getting sick? Why you guys are getting sick? Is your family in Pennsylvania? Can we figure out what's going on? And you go to these conferences. I go to these conferences. If you are unfortunate enough to follow me on social media, I go to these conferences where all the doctors are talking about obesity. They even kicked me out of one of these conferences, I'm not ashamed to say, because I'm so critical of them. Okay? We went to this conference and they say obesity is complicated. I don't know if you guys can see that. They say obesity is very complicated. Can you guys all hear me there in Phoenixville? Hopefully. And they say it's complicated, and you don't need to see what's on the screen so much, but it's a graph of all these little things that that are contributing to obesity. For example, they think it's due to the air conditioning we have, or the heat, or the advertisements, right? They think it's the advertisements. Okay, they don't know. The doctors there are confused, and you can see that there's more and more doctors, more and more personal trainers, more and more coaches, drugs, surgeries, dietitians, and yet the amount of obesity is worse. It's getting worse. So, and you go to these conferences and they're trying to figure out the cause. Is the cause of obesity the fact that we don't have enough MyFitnessPals? MyFitnessPal is the app where you track your calories. We have more app downloads about calories now than ever before. We have more gyms than we have ever had in the history of gyms. We are doing more surgery on people's stomachs than ever. We have more medications for obesity now than we have ever had. What happened 5 decades ago? Did our genetics all of a sudden change? Did all of a sudden 7 In 1970, we stopped having willpower. That doesn't make sense. Doctors need to stop saying it's willpower. Who's been told that they gotta moderate what they eat and they just need more willpower, right? Yeah, that's what we've been told, right? So let's figure it out. And then you go to these conferences, they say maybe it's the TV, maybe it's the advertisements, maybe it's the video games, maybe it's the cars. Nobody ever says maybe our food is so addictive, this modern food is so addictive, people can't stop. People can't stop. Nobody says that because they're on the hook, right? And it's not like, doctors like me, we can send you to surgery and you lose weight. That's not the point. I'm not trying to send you all to surgery, but you could see everybody gains weight even after surgery. And after 1 year, everybody's gaining weight. After we cut your stomach, we make it the size of a pea, you're still gaining weight. Why? And when we give you meds, we have medications to lose weight. That's not the point. I love to get people off medications, but we have medications. And if you look after a year, everybody on these medications gains weight back. So we give you meds, we cut your stomach, we cut your, we do surgery, but yet everybody's gaining weight and nobody's asking why. And I'm at this conference, guys, and this is the conference they nearly kicked me out. And I said, they're bringing up this big graph and they're like, obesity is very complicated, weight loss is very complicated. I said, are you all aware of the study in raccoons? And they're, of course, looking at me funny, like you guys are all looking at me funny right now. Why is Tro talking about raccoons? And I said, well, the study on raccoons showed that the raccoons in the city had diabetes and obesity. The raccoons in the suburbs, right, they had pre-diabetes and they were overweight. And the raccoons in the farm areas, they had none of it. They had no disease, no arthritis, no diabetes, no nothing. And I said, did you know the veterinarian scientists said it was the access to their garbage, that predicted their obesity? It wasn't the TV, the advertisements, the calories. We don't have to give those little raccoons little calorie counting calculators. All they needed to do to avoid obesity and diabetes was to get rid of our garbage. Guess what's in our garbage? It's the half a bag of Doritos you didn't eat. It's the bread that you threw out. It's our food, our modern processed carbohydrates and sugar. That's what food waste is. Nobody throws out butter and steak, right? Has anybody thrown out butter and steak? No. Has anybody thrown out salmon? Right? Nobody throws that out, right? What those animals eating, what got them obese and diabetic was the food, our food, right? Our food. So even the raccoons, and I don't think the advertisements or the air conditioning affects them, right? I don't know, maybe I could be wrong, but maybe those city raccoons are, they're riding too many subways, who knows? And we're in New York City, and of course, we have this, I don't know if you all know this, there was a meme of the rats in New York City. These rats usually scamper off like but this rat, the pizza rat in New York, I don't know if you guys remember this, it literally took a pizza and slowly walked it down the stairs in the middle of the daylight. And why am I bringing this up? Because that rat stopped its fear of death to carry a pizza down the stairs in broad daylight, right? That's the food that you and I are all eating. It has a power. Right? It has a power. And the problem is, here's another example I brought up at this conference where they nearly kicked me out. I said, guys, do you know that in the Melbourne Zoo, the head veterinarian said he's going to stop all fruits. He's going to lower the fruits to no more than one a day. And I said, why would he do that? And I asked him, And he said, our fruits are so sweet and so big that they're causing obesity and diabetes in our animals. Now, I'm not telling anybody to stop eating fruit. All I'm saying is that not all fruits and vegetables, not our food, every aspect of it has been changed. The strawberries that your parents grew up with are not the strawberries you get from Costco. The bananas that were out there 50 years ago are not the bananas we have now. Don't even get me started on the Cocoa Puffs and the Captain Crunch. I mean, that's a whole other story. So every part, speaking of Cocoa Puffs, the modern strawberry now has 100% more sugar and 50% less fiber. If they did that to your kids' cereal, you guys would go ballistic. You say it's not right. If they did that to your family cereal, your parents with diabetes, they doubled the sugar and took out the fiber, you guys would be like, this is crazy. But it's happened to all of our food, and it's also the meats. We overfeed the animals now. They're more fattier than they used to be. Right? So the whole system of food is changed. Right? So should those raccoons and those monkeys, should they eat more fruit? Should they count their calories more? Should they join a gym those raccoons, the Melbourne monkeys? Should they stop being weak? Did they need more willpower, the raccoons? Right? Those raccoons out in the farmlands, they need more willpower. Are they slobs? Do we need to do more bariatric surgery on raccoons to deal with the raccoon obesity epidemic? Right? Do they need a nutritionist to create a calorie deficit? Do they need medication? Maybe we should give them all Ozempic, right? Those raccoons in the cities. And I'm not knocking the drugs and I'm not knocking surgery, because there's always a role for them. Okay, there's always a role for them. But maybe what we actually need to do is make these animals not hungry with the foods that they should be eating. Right? How do you all feel? Okay, I'm going to give you guys a quick example. Okay, raise your hand. Okay, raise your hand if 2 slices of pizza is about enough for you. Raise your hand. Okay. Raise your hand if 3 or 4 slices is enough for you. Right? I'm looking at Phoenixville right now. Yeah, okay. And what happens after 2 slices of pizza? What happens 2 hours later? Right? You're craving more. You're craving more. That cold pizza tastes great. 2 slices of pizza is like 800 calories. Okay? That's like 10 eggs. Who here has eaten 10 eggs? No, nobody. If you ate 10 eggs, right? Would you even imagine eating more? No. That's the difference between food, right? Controlling your appetite. It's the same amount of calories, but the food has a different impact on how full you feel. So what can we eliminate from all these crazy ideas those really brilliant doctors have? Right? It's not the calories. It's not, you don't need a MyFitnessPal. It's not the gym. You don't need a bypass, not necessarily. You don't need medications, not necessarily. But maybe, just maybe, it's the food that needs to change. And I'm going to give you, whether, at the end of this, I've convinced you that, hey, our practice is one that you can get help from. Whether or not you do, I'm going to give you 3 things you could take home for you and your family. Okay, so you can lose weight. Okay, there's 3 things. 1, reduce the sugar-fat combinations, and I'll talk about that. 2, lower your sugar as much as possible, your sugar and your carbohydrates as much as possible. 3, stick to real food. Okay, stick to real food. And we'll start, I'll explain it to you why, right? So let's go back to Pizza Rat. What is it that drives Pizza Rat to take that pizza and risk its life? Right? Well, what is pizza? It's a combination of bread and cheese. Right? Who here likes bread? Raise your hand. I'm looking at Phoenixville. Okay, awesome. Okay. Everybody likes bread. Who here will just take olive oil and chug it? Nobody. Oh, one or two. Okay. Who will take a stick of butter and just eat that? Yeah, maybe one hand. So who will absolutely love the fact when I give you both, when I give you olive oil and bread? Who loves that? Right? Everybody. Right? You love bread even more when I give you fat. And if you look at the most addictive foods that humans like, okay, we've done the models with MRIs. We know that you all like bread. We know that if we add butter or olive oil, you'll eat till tomorrow. Right? You'll eat till tomorrow. That is what your brain says, keep eating. Keep eating. If it combines a sugar and a fat. Okay? So we've done the MRIs to show this. We know that we can get humans to pick sugar over cocaine. Rats to pick sugar over cocaine. We know it's addictive. But the combination of carbs and fat is addictive. And if you look at the foods that people tell you are most addictive, what do they all have in common? Pizza, chocolate, ice cream, cookies, cake, fried rice, grilled cheese, popcorn, cheeseburger, right? What do they all have in common? They are all 50-50 combinations of carbs and fat. What's chocolate? Milk fat and cacao and sugar. 50% carbs, 50% fat. That pizza, what is it? It's literally bread, sweet from the sauce, and then cheese. Right? It's carbs and fat. Right? Ice cream, same thing. Cream and sugar. Right? French fries, same thing. You take a carbohydrate, fry it in oil. That signal, when your brain sees that, it says, keep going. Keep going. Right? So that is the food addiction signal. So if you're looking to lose weight, right, you don't want to have these combinations. You don't want sugar or carbohydrates alone. You definitely don't want sugar and fat combinations. They will keep you eating. Those are the top 10 addictive foods. So your brain loves carbs and fat. It'll take carbs alone. You know, we had one hand if somebody said they'll chug olive oil. Like, nobody will do it. It's like not appealing to anybody here. Right? Nobody's going to take a stick of butter and, you know, just chomp it down. Maybe one person. Right? So bottom line is the brain doesn't really love fat. Nobody's going to take melted cheese and just sip on it. Right? But if I give you pasta and I throw it on that melted cheese, you are ecstatic. You love it. So that's one. Avoid carbs and fat. Right? Avoid carbs and fat. Let's see. Second thing, when you look at the big studies for what diets are most effective, the diets that reduce carbohydrates always do better. Right? Which means eliminate basically bread, pasta, right, and candies, and eat a bunch of meat, fish, and chicken, green leafy vegetables, you know, and when you do that, it's the most effective diet in the literature. This is a meta-analysis, like a study of studies, right? And we've compared them. We've compared the diets head to head. We said, you do Atkins, you do Orner, you know, plant-based, you do count your calories. Low carb always does better. Right? So if you've been struggling and the 6 meals and the whole grains hasn't worked for you, consider a low carb diet. Even at 12 months, this is a recent study from 2018. Even at about a year, the low carb diets seem to do better. And the way they work, just to give you an idea of how they work, let me see if we got the picture of it here. So the way they work is they make you less hungry. When you have ice cream and your blood sugar goes up, right, and then your body's trying to store it away and it brings it back down, your blood sugar comes crashing down. And when your blood sugar comes crashing down, that's why you crave more of it. When you eat the pizza and your blood sugar goes up, your body's got to store that away, it comes back down, and when your blood sugar is low, your brain is like, get me more. That's why 2 to 3 hours after pizza, the cold pizza tastes better. Right? Who's had that before? They're eating cold pizza. They're like, how does this taste so good? It's because your brain is primed to eat more. the blood sugar is dropping. Same thing with Chinese food. Who's eating a ton of Chinese food? They're like, I'm so full. Then 2 hours later, they're like, that the cold leftovers taste amazing. Okay, the reason for that is when your blood sugar goes low, your brain is on fire for food. It wants more. It doesn't matter what's in your stomach. Your brain is like, get me more. Right? And that's why when you have people who's, they take insulin, they have diabetes, when their blood sugar goes low, they don't say, get me more kale or go get me more broiled chicken. Nobody says that. They say, get me chocolate, get me orange juice, get me ice cream. Because their brain is on fire for either the carbohydrate or the sugar or the combination of sugar and fat. Right? And this is how the brain's reward system works. Right? Nobody ever says, get me the kale. So even if you get gastric bypass and you lower your blood sugar 20 points, even if we cut your stomach or put an anvil in your stomach, right? And your blood sugar drops 20 points, your brain is like, go get me more. Go get me more. This is how people who've gotten bypass gain weight again, right? Because it's not dealing with the hunger. Yeah, and when you've struggled with weight, I mean, this is another issue. Another reason why low carbohydrate diets work is they increase your metabolism. And it's not that hard. I mean, really, like if I told you, go have as many eggs you want, go have as much meat as you want, go have Greek yogurt, go eat enough asparagus and broccoli to make your cardiologist happy. And if you need something sweet, berries are a great go-to, right? Like it's not incredibly hard. And it's a very filling way to eat, right? And the foods leave you hungry. And the last point I want you all to know is if you stick to real food, you'll eat less. So if you shop on the outside of the aisle in the supermarket, you will eat less naturally, right? They all want you to go into the cereal aisle, the ice cream aisle, the bread and the pasta aisle. That's where they want you to go. Right? Those are the foods they're trying to get you. And if you stay away from those foods and you stick on the perimeter of the aisle, and you stick to meat and vegetables and fish and, dairy and fruit, you're going to do better. But just be careful with the fruit, though. And a lot of times, people are like, oh, it's maybe boring. I don't know. Does this look boring to anybody? I don't, to me, steak is not boring. So anyway, these are the main points. You want to take some information right now, go get healthy, avoid foods that are going to make you more hungry, the carb-fat combinations, right? Lower your sugar and your processed carbs as much as you can, stick to real food, and then ultimately, when you're sticking to real food, you're not going to be hungry, your hunger is going to go down, then don't eat if you aren't hungry. And I'll tell you just a little bit about our, maybe you're like, this is crazy talk and show me the results. We've published our results. We go into companies just like yours. We take the people who are the sickest who want to do a program like ours. And we help them with our coaches, with our remote equipment. We help them lose weight and we help them come off medications. We published our results. The average person in our program lost 38 pounds. They stopped, on average, 2 medications that they no longer needed. They lowered their blood pressure 17 points. Their heart risk dropped by 44%, and their A1C dropped by 1.1%, which is a big drop. It's like taking a medication, like Ozempic, except focusing more on diet. So I think maybe Amy, you're probably best suited to sort of take over because you probably know more about how we're piloting this with TAGE.
Yeah, so we are doing a 6-month pilot program for TAGE lumber employees. Our program is a medical weight loss and metabolic health program. So if you have hypertension, heart disease, diabetes, obesity, it is called a medical weight loss program, but it is appropriate for all of those and many others. There's a couple slides coming up, which will show you some of the things that we treat within this program. This program is intensive. It involves regular lab reviews. Sometimes, and Tro can speak to this also, sometimes medications need to be adjusted in real time. And this is the kind of program where you have intensive medical care, you have ongoing health coaching support, There'll be a thorough onboarding. We will get all of your old medical records with your approval so that you have somebody that is really kind of looking at you as a whole person to help you address all your medical needs, and health coaching appointments on a regular basis to help you. Tro talked about, sort of, steak and this and that, and shop the perimeter of the supermarket, but health coaches can teach you how to do that and how to make this work for your life. How do you navigate vacations and holidays and all the things that really can often, we tell ourselves it's going to be just this one time, and then it ends up 6 months later. And, health coaching can help you, talk to you, and teach you how to do this in a real way, in real life. And so our program is pretty intensive. It is immersive. We ask a lot of you, but in return, we give a lot back to you, as much as you need and as much support as you need. Tro, do you want to move on? As Tro talked about early on, we know what it's like to walk this walk. We know what it's like. I joined Weight Watchers 35, 40 times before. That is an actual figure. It is like, what's the definition of insanity? I know what it is like to wake up every day of my life thinking, what am I going to do today to lose weight? And somehow, despite waking up every day thinking, what am I going to do? I somehow found myself over 400 pounds. And I could not figure out why I couldn't figure it out. I was otherwise smart and successful and had family and friends and a whole full life. And I couldn't figure out why I could not do this. We have lived this. We have walked in shoes that hurt. And so that's where we're different. We don't like to be sort of like purists about this. We help people figure out how to do this in their own lives, not what's going to work for us, but what's going to work for you. Joe, if you want to go forward.
And I think the other point to bring up is we rely heavily on two key things: technology and feedback, right? So I don't want you trusting us. I want to show you. I want to give you a blood glucose monitor that shows you the bananas and oatmeal they told you to eat in the morning and what it does to your body. Okay, I want to show you your labs. So you see, if you change your diet, does your cholesterol improve? I want you to see it, right? So we're big believers in giving you that feedback, putting the power back in your hands. You don't just trust us because we said so, right? We're gonna prove it to you. We're gonna prove it to you. Sorry, Amy.
Yeah, you can go to the next slide. As Cho talked about, we have published our results in the medical literature. Our average weight loss is 34 to 38 pounds, health reductions. We help people reverse metabolic diseases, things that you have been told are, cemented onto your medical chart forever. We help people every day to either reduce or eliminate medications, to lose weight when your only experience is going in the opposite direction on the scale. That's what we specialize in. So the medical weight loss program, the pilot program we're doing with TAG, we can take in about 10 to 15 people. If you are interested in learning more, just scan the QR code, and we will make this available to everybody after the fact. But the medical weight loss program, it's a 6-month program. It involves a fairly extensive onboarding process. We will contact your doctors. We will get a full medical history. We'll take a full medication history. You will be sent remote scales, ketone meters, continuous glucose monitors, if necessary, blood pressure cuffs, sleep studies, all of that to sort of get a sense of where your medical state is. And then we'll take a full weight and diet history. And then we will do a full education in terms of how we do this. How do we make this last in real time? And as Tro said, all of this remote monitoring equipment will show you in real time the results of what this program does. I'm going to go forward, Tro. Yeah, so these are just some of it is called a medical weight loss program, but this is just some of the metabolic health situations that this program intensively addresses diabetes, prediabetes, obesity, metabolic syndrome, sleep apnea, high cholesterol, dyslipidemia, hypertension, high blood pressure, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Throw anything else you want to.
No, those are, look, bottom line is this. In the early part of my training, when I was chief resident, when I was just starting, these were things that I thought you couldn't get rid of. You just needed to treat with medications. That's what they taught me. If you have one of these, who saw a doctor and said, you're going to be on this med forever? Probably all you, right? But
And then
these are
every
not
time you go,
things.
they increase the medication and then they add another medication for the side effect of the first medication. And you just think this is it for the rest of your life. You're just going to get burdened with more and more.
So
And it doesn't have to be that way.
just so you know, diabetes, we have I cannot count them anymore. Like you guys maybe have like a bell you ring when you sell like a big set of beams to a construction company. We have a bell we ring when we get people out of diabetes. Right? That's the bell we ring. Right? When somebody comes out of obesity, when somebody loses 50 pounds, when somebody's fatty liver resolves, when somebody's blood is off all his blood pressure meds and he's doing great because he doesn't need them anymore. Yeah, bottom line is things can change quick, so we have to watch things quickly, and that's why we use the remote monitoring. I mean, we have an app. I guess everybody's going to get a month free of the app, or
Yeah. So the Tro put the link to the page in the chat, but also if you want to scan that QR code, and I'm sure that we can talk to everybody over there to get you the link directly if you're not able to scan the QR code. But yeah, we have an app that if you want to get started right away, it's got a full course curriculum of weight loss, diabetes, intro to low carb, community meetings, community chat. There's everything that you need in there to get started now. We're giving everybody at Teague Lumber a month premium access to that, so you can start now. Give yourself an education now. You can scan that code. Yeah, get started now. So again, all employees at Teague Lumber are eligible for the program, but at this point, we can only take 10 or 15 people. Those 10 or 15 people will be chosen for the initial pilot program based on medical need. Spouses are not eligible at this time. All labs and medications are your responsibility, but they can be put through your insurance policy. And then I just want to drive home the point, because we don't want to waste your time, and we really are fully invested in you. So understand, this program is a big commitment. We will ask a lot of you, and our promise is to extend that same commitment right back to you. We are available by text, by email. This is not the kind of office that you're going to sit on hold for 4 hours and never speak to a human, right? We are a small but mighty team of people, and we pride ourselves on being humans first. So there'll, again, 10 or 15 people. There's an application where you will be asked to fill out your medical history. Please give as much detail as possible. That helps us know, assess who needs us the most, who's ready to change the most, who is most likely to achieve success. We do not want to be like all the other diet programs where you just sign up and then, a month and a half later, you're on to the next one. We want this to be the last stop in the diet roller coaster, right? So if this is not the right time for you, if you are under extreme stress, like let's hold off. But so if you can give us as much detail as possible in those applications, it will really help us to match the right people to the right time. And if now is not the right time, maybe 6 months from now will be. In the meantime, look at the app and get yourself an education, and maybe in a couple months it will be the right time. And then again, people have started already sending in applications. We will start to look at those applications as they come in and start to notify people that they've been accepted in the program. So if you are interested, please send through your application as soon as possible, and we'll start onboarding people. As we said, it's a fairly rigorous onboarding process, because we will get in touch with your other doctors, get medical records, and we'll start doing rolling admissions in July. And if you have any questions at all after we're done, just email contact@drtro.com. And we will be happy to, there is no question that is too big or too small, or that we probably haven't heard before. So there's just ask.
Just one last thing, Amy, I think just to drive it home, I don't think there's besides, your insurance plans cost for labs, which is usually nominal. There is no cost that I'm
Oh, yeah.
aware of.
Sorry, I should have said, I should have led with that.
Yeah, which is, so this all sounds great, but what's the bottom line? The bottom line is it's free. Besides those like if I send you to the labs, that's all based on the insurance company. And you may know that better from your own doctors. If you go to the doc and it costs a little bit to get lab work, you all know that better than we do. But there's no cost.
Yeah, the
So,
remote scales will be sent to you, and any other equipment that's necessary, medically necessary, will be sent to you at no cost to you.
all right. Any questions from anybody?
No.
No? Yeah, one last thing, when we do these and usually we see a split, where initially, and I don't know if this is true, just, I have found in my career, in my medical career, when it comes to weight, men don't often reach out for help, right? Men don't often reach out for help. So, there's nothing like reach out for help. I'm here to tell you, reach out for help. We will get you fit. We'll get you healthy. The women, I mean, they seem to be okay getting help, and maybe I shouldn't, but I found, anybody can contact us. Anybody can contact us. Sorry, Amy, if that was slightly inappropriate, but yeah, we'll let it slide, I guess. Any other questions for us?
Can I start today?
Well, scan the QR code, send your application, we're good to go.
Yeah,
Thanks, Tom.
awesome.
Sure.
All right, have a good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for
All
joining
right,
us.
guys, thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys so much.